Hello, everyone, and welcome to my talk show called Allowed to Talk. In today's show, I'm going to continue reading from the book I wrote a while back, a year or so ago, called Who Took My Self-Esteem? Inner critics are like trolls. In other words, who took my self-worth? Because I felt worthless and like a nobody for a lot of years. I'm continuing to read from my book, and I am on chapter 4. Where did you go? I fell through the cracks and became the lost child. I heard the term, the lost child, in 2016 on the internet. I knew as soon as I heard the description of this term, I was definitely a lost child. I was conforming and not speaking up for myself. I believed I would not be loved if I defended myself. All the puzzle pieces fit for my life, and when I tried to tell my siblings, I was labeled the crazy one. I do not remember being very close to my mom when I was a child. I was told quite often that I had no reason to cry. When I was about 4 years old, I was riding a tricycle fast across the big front porch at my grandma's house. The house my parents rented for my grandma and pap was only a sidewalk away. Our home was a 2-bedroom farmhouse, and Grandma and Pap's home was a 5-bedroom farmhouse on the 60-plus acre farm my grandparents owned at that time. I rode the tricycle right off the end of the porch. My mom slowly came down off the porch glider seat to look at my knees. What I saw was my knees all bloody. My knees really hurt, and I was crying very loud. My mother simply stated, "Oh, come on now, it isn't that bad. You're exaggerating and have no reason to be crying." I looked at her like she had 2 heads, and even at age 4 already, I felt like I was worthless. I couldn't even ride off the end of the porch correctly enough. Later that day, my grandma put iodine and bandages on my knees. Shortly after this, I became very quiet and would go into a world of my own. I would spend many hours on the back porch with my cats, or end up walking up to the back field where the cattle were grazing. The cows listened to my singing. They didn't mind my voice, and they listened to me cry about anything and everything. I was the lost child and many other things in my family of origin. I would never be the precious or coddled one. I was far away making up stories in my head with the cats and the cows becoming my closest family. I never wanted to mess up the family dynamic or cause anything bad. It was all my fault when things went wrong. After all, this is where I went at the very early age in life. No matter how dysfunctional my family is, it was always not them. I was shamed and blamed, even when I was speaking the truth. I also loved to read books, and I quite often would spend time in the front yard near the old water pump. I would read books out loud and dance around like someone who really mattered. My poem, I included one of my poems in the book, and here it is. It's called, Where Did You Go? She was a young girl then with so much to learn and see. Her mother never taught her about life and how it could be. Just be seen and not heard. Shut up. Go away. She should have never had to see what she saw that day. When she had knee scratches or fell off her bike, the answer she got was one she really didn't like. You have nothing to cry about, and I have something to say. Your little bloody knees could never hurt that way. Your poor older sister fell and cut her upper lip. She had stitches from a bite by a dog on her hip. Poor little Precious fell off the hay wagon and broke her arm. You have the nerve to cry and feel like you're in harm? My oldest favorite boy that I loved the very best, his lung collapsed up in his poor little chest. He almost didn't make it on that so very scary night. So for you to cry over bloody knees, you have no right. Your other sister hit another car going up a hill. She had sore arms and hips when she took that spill. I laugh and call you overreactor to your face. So stop, or I will give you something to put you in your place. Your other brother in the Navy drinks torpedo juice, and the other brother has a wife that is loose. So your little problem just has to stop right now. Who said you could cry anyhow? You walked in the house just to use the bathroom, and what you saw scared you like doom and gloom. You opened the door to see a strange sight. Your other sister's husband right there in the light. He was kissing another sister, and that just isn't right. Will you freeze, or will you run, fawn, or fight? In the spur of the moment, you closed the door, ran with fear, right out to the backyard where you found his wife so dear. Sister threw her wedding band at the pole in the backyard. The look on everyone's face was much more than hard. His wife, two of her sisters, her mom and her dad, went into the house to see if what she said was that bad. She stood there alone for a minute. Then the rest of the day, no one returned to ask if she was doing okay. In fact, they all disappeared for the rest of her childhood life. Nothing was said or explained what caused her such strife. Not a word like, "Are you okay after seeing such a thing?" They shot the messenger reporting about the loser king. That day she was dead in the eyes of her family. Whenever she said, they didn't believe she really did see. They must have been told that it wasn't as bad as she said. She put a note on her sister's bed and was the bad one instead. Like she is the one who did something terrible with shame. She would carry on her back all of the horrible blame. "Where did you go?" all her family that tell of the love you hold. She is still standing out in the backyard waiting to be told. She will die there standing like a weeping willow tree in the backyard where her family will never see. And this poem is like my mother talking to me at first, and then like how I was treated as a child. And that's the end of chapter 4 of my book, Who Took My Self-Esteem? Inner critics are like trolls. And like I mentioned, I always wanted to be an opera singer. And I used to go up in the fields and talk to the cattle and sing for the cattle. And I tried to hit high notes and hold notes real long. I never had any formal vocal training or anything like that. So I just loved singing. And on the show today, I'm going to try to share how I try to sing opera. So I'm going to sing the song "Think of Me" from The Phantom of the Opera. Think of me fondly when we said goodbye. Remember me once in a while. Please promise me you'll try. When you find that once again you long to take your heart back and be free. If you ever find a moment, spare a thought for me. We never said our love was evergreen or as unchanging as the sea. But if you can still remember, stop and think of me. Think of all the things we've shared and the sea. Don't think about the way things might have been. Think of me waking silent and resigned. Imagine me trying too hard to put you from my mind. Recall those days, look back on all those times. Think of the things we'll never do. There will never be a day when I won't think of you. Now Raoul sings, and that's the male part, so I'm not going to sing it. flowers fade, the fruit of summer fade. They have their season, so do we. But please promise me that sometimes you will think. Now, I know that wasn't great, but I used to try to hit those notes and sing like la 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 la. And it's not good, but I try. So that's how I tried to sing opera as a kid, and maybe if I sang pretty enough, like I said in chapter 3, if you watch the video about chapter 3, that maybe I would be special to my parents and some of my siblings. I was special to a few of my siblings, and the book tells you, and I have other books, that why I was important to some and not others, and how we did get along, some of us, and mental health is important. Let's just say that. I'm going to try to take some of my videos that I took from holidays, like I have a video of me as the one year I went as a ghost and I danced in my ghost outfit, and I also have one of the whole Christmas parade at Silver Dollar City I'd like to share on here on YouTube also. But for now, I will just share. I will be sharing those in the next few shows. For now, I'm just going to, excuse me. I usually do these before dinner, but I waited till after dinner today. I think I'm more awake, alert, and oriented if I wait. If I don't wait, if I do it earlier in the day, because it's late in the afternoon now. It's like 5:30 p.m., so I should have done this earlier. But this was chapter 4 of my book, Who Took My Self-Esteem? Inner critics are like trolls. You can hear those critical voices that your parents thought they were doing the right thing by shaming you to get things done, when you should be disciplined, because discipline is love, but shaming your children into doing the right thing is not the way to do it. There has to be a happy medium, because if you're not perfect, they're not perfect. If you have bad days, your children have bad days. Practice does not make perfect. There is no perfect in this world. Practice makes progress. You can get better. And you can even have a perfect performance, like if you saw the Phantom of the Opera up in New York City, New York, there were perfect singing of those songs, the Phantom of the Opera, Think of Me. But it's not perfect all the time, because practice made progress. And even watching those live Phantom of the Opera or the other musicals that I've been to, there is mistakes where they hit a note wrong, go flat sometimes, go sharp, and I sometimes actually sound like I listen to K-Love Radio, which is a Christian radio station, and she, I think it's Skip and Amy, and Amy, sometimes she'll play her trumpet, I think, but sometimes she's the choir lady, if you want to listen to K-Love. And I think my voice sounds like her choir lady, which is comedy for sure. But I love to sing, and I just shared chapter 4 of my book, and you can see how I tried singing opera, which is like screaming, but I shared it. So I hope you're having a wonderful day, and that everything's going great, and that you count your blessings, and you do the best you can with what you have, and enjoy this life. Have a great night and day, or whatever time it is for you.